I think part of the reason Gen Xers keeps everything to ourselves goes right back from our childhood. A lot of us came home to empty houses after school. We would just take care of things ourselves. We didn't have babysitters back in the day, you know. Basically, there was practically no parental supervision, right? And I think that's why we were given the name latchkey generation, because we'd have the keys to the house and would make ourselves at home. If you were hungry, you know, you'd go make yourself a sandwich. If you were thirsty, you'd go make yourself a drink. And there was no mobile phones. Yes, so when we were alone, all we had was a landline phone. We didn't have our parents texting us to see if we were okay at home, if we made it alive. We didn't have GPS tracking. Also sort of given the freedom to do things, you know, on our own. Like, we also learned to solve problems on our own. Like, if something happened and your parents weren't at home, you would try to solve things yourself. We basically became professional problem solvers, I reckon. And because we learned to become like our own problem solvers, we became very self-reliant, and that became our strength, which was good. But over time, I think that many of us started carrying every problem alone. It's sort of like it's still ingrained in us to not really ask for help, because let's face it, we had to solve our own problems a lot when we were growing up as kids. Ultimately, we became experts at saying we're fine, like even when we're not. In any situation, you know, you're at work, say, people come up to you and say, "Oh, how you going?" I know I catch myself saying, "I'm good, thanks. Good, thanks." You know, it's always good, thanks, even when it's not always good, thanks, is it? It's not always the truth, right? But it's kind of like just ingrained in us to just make out everything's fine, you know. Growing up in our era, strength was often seen as staying quiet, you know, and carrying on, not admitting that, you know, you feel like shit. Because us Gen Xers have become so self-reliant, I think that the being so self-reliant and holding all your struggles inwards, it's made us turn inward a lot, you know, because when we did have struggles, you know, we wouldn't really voice them, not even to our parents. And it was kind of like very isolating. We struggled to admit that, you know, shit, we are not okay today, you know, and it's a thing, and we're tired. We're there and we're tired. I mean, we've had decades of responsibility as well, right? You left school basically in your nappies, you know? We're the ones at work that just shut up and get on with it and do the extra work and don't complain. Gen Xers are meant to be, you know, resilient, and it's just not cool for a Gen Xer to say, you know, I'm not coping. Help, we're tired. We want to retire soon. And that's another thing. I don't think a lot of us Gen Xers are going to be able to retire, you know, as early as our baby boomer parents, you know, because we got to keep working now, like even longer. So even more reason why we're cranky and tired and over it, really. But you know what? We don't have to do it all though, you know, alone. Not every burden needs to be carried in silence, Gen Xers, you know. Us Gen Xers, we like to have this image where we want people to think that we're tough, resilient, and, you know, she'll be right and we'll get on with it. But I reckon sometimes we need to remind ourselves that, you know, it's probably not normal the way we think, and it's not healthy. When we're not feeling okay, I think we probably need to actually just like verbalise it a bit more, you know. Because we've spent years and years of holding that stuff in ourselves, right? And I think, you know what, maybe it's time for us to just offload that burden. You know, when someone says, how you going? Maybe just say, you know what, I feel like shit today. But you know what I reckon's really cool about being a Gen Xer? We're independent, you know, we're resilient. We basically raised ourselves, you know, and we got through. Yeah, we might have dealt with some things in our childhood the wrong way. We had fun though. We had a lot of freedom. A lot of us are wanting that freedom back. We sort of missed the freedom that we had as kids, as Gen X kids, because going back to what I was saying before about our childhood, right? We were left alone, you know, and we had a lot of freedom because, you know, there was no helicopter parenting back then, no tracking where you were. You know, you were left alone and left to take care of yourself and go out and explore the yard and whatever. Like, we want that freedom back. And I reckon it's really cool to be a Gen Xer because, you know, we're strong and we've dealt with crap all alone a lot, you know, and that's something to be proud of, you know. So if you're a Gen Xer watching this video today, thanks for watching this far. And hey, if you've got anything you want to share about growing up as a Gen Xer, please drop them in the comments. I'd really love to hear your experience, what you think. You know, do you agree that us Gen Xers are, you know, like the strong types that don't really want to admit that we're struggling? Stay cool, Gen Xers, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.